I'm Geoff Nemnich.
And I'm Rick Paulette.
And we're the hosts of The Last Stand. Coyote hunting is my passion.
And coyote calls are my livelihood.
And together we aim to bring you the best predator hunting tips, tricks, and tactics, right down to The Last Stand.
The Last Stand, presented by LuckyDuck Predator Calls. We are the masters of deception. Swagger bipods. Shoot with confidence. Shoot with swagger. OnX Hunt. Know where you stand. Hornady. Accurate, deadly, dependable.
Well, we're back in Colorado. We actually never left. It's just the remainder of the trip. The first day of our trip, as you just saw in the last episode, we put 10 coyotes in the truck. This episode, we're hunting a day by ourselves with just TR, Rick, and I, and then we're gonna meet back up with Mark and G to finish out the trip. You know, after you put 10 coyotes in the truck one day, your mind gets to thinking about that's the way it should be all the time, and that's not the reality of it. I mean, you know, I hunt coyotes maybe 60, 70 days a year, and, you know, I might have, less than 6 or 8 of those days will be, 8, 10 plus coyote days. So the reality is a 3 and 4 coyote day is the norm, and that's, a great day in many cases.
Well, we're into our second stand of the morning. Our first one was a little bit of a bust. We had a coyote show up about 600 yards up on a hill, but all at once it kind of took off, and some pheasant hunters showed up right behind us, spooked it off. So we regrouped. TR had good plans. We came over here, got set up on this stand. Once again, sun to our back, wind in our face, just calling over a bunch of just weedy pastures, tall grass pastures. I'm about 100 yards downwind, covering this backside in case something comes out of this big sagebrush pasture here.
See it?
It's always exciting. I'm covering the downwind, so I really can't see anywhere out front of the call. Just all of a sudden you hear whack. Just a couple minutes in. It's always a good feeling.
Well, we got TR, this is day 2. TR's running the call, got the roughneck out. Geoff's behind us watching the downwind side, and TR had howled one end down here in this fence line, and then it rolled. He turned lip squeaks on and it rolled right up here. We got the wind going that way, and as you saw, this coyote was right here in the fence line, and if I wouldn't have shot it then, it would have got behind us and we'd have been screwed to pooch. He looked a little mangy, I think.
He's a real beauty.
A little mangy, 8 degrees this morning, and that coyote came in in his underwear.
Poor little guy. We did that. Yeah, we did that coyote a favor. This little sucker may have been in for a rough little winter. Mange is a bad thing. There's lots of stories on how it got introduced into the coyote population over the years. But one thing I know, it's one of those things that doesn't go away. It doesn't seem like, the winters are ever cold enough to kill off every coyote that has it. And if a coyote makes it through the winter and that coyote decides to breed, especially a female coyote, and she's in the den with her pups, she's going to pass it on to her pups, and it's just a reoccurring cycle that's just a miserable way for these coyotes to live and die from. So it's always nice when you can thin a few of these mangy ones out of here and get them out of the population. So hopefully the coyotes can bounce back and you get fur coyotes. You know, obviously one of the things that we're trying to do out here is kill coyotes. They're worth a little bit of money for their fur. So, you know, they're mangy, they're not worth anything.
Let him make his move here. I think he sees him. There we go. We just don't have any cover at all. Coyote pegged us. That's all right. He was close enough to kill.
So before I go get this coyote, I want to go over a quick tip with these swaggers. You know, when I'm setting up, the first thing I do is I push the button. As you see, those pop out like that, but there's a button in the front of that. You can push that and it locks them down in. It just makes it a little more stable. You still don't lose any of the mobility or flexibility that is so great with this bipod. But what I want to talk about real quick is moving your rifle, getting on target. When you're coyote hunting, you know, I specifically was aimed off to my right on this hill. I figured that was the quickest spot that a coyote could get on me. If there was anything out front, I knew it was going to be, you know, it was going to be cutting towards the call and I'd have time to move. So when this coyote showed up, I had to move my gun to the left. So whenever I'm maneuvering these swaggers, I have my hand up here. All I do, if I'm going to maneuver my gun to the left, I pick this leg up and actually drag the back leg, and I can move real slow, and then all I got to do is stick that front one in the ground and I'm set. Vice versa, if I need to move my gun back to the right, I just pick up the front leg and drag that back leg, and as soon as I'm in position, I stick the front leg in and you're stable. So keep that in mind. But it's one of those things, when you go to the range, you have to practice doing that a lot. Just sitting out here on stand and shooting a few coyotes, you're not going to get good at it. You're not going to get efficient at it. But, you know, it's important to be able to move quick and get on coyotes. But, well, just as I suspected, I saw his face was a little mangy when I shot him. But belly, feet, that's kind of where it starts. He's a bigger male coyote. He was hungry. He was coming to the rabbit. You know, yesterday, you saw in the previous episode, you know, we were killing coyotes in the first 3-4 minutes on rabbit, and that's ideal, you know, when you can kill them like that, you know, and this was no different. It's our fourth stand of the morning. He was coming good. I think he got down here, you know, once you get to where the coyote's at, you can always look back at your position and kind of get an idea of what really happened, and I think here he just had them kind of skylined. Sun was behind him, so they were just big black blobs. We didn't have a whole lot to sit by. And then he looked over and saw us, and at that point it was too late.
Finally made our way back over here to this stand. Earlier this morning, maybe, I don't know, 4 hours ago, we were walking into the stand and TR spotted 2 coyotes standing on this hillside over here. So they really didn't see us, so we backed out. There was just no way to get into that stand without them spooking. So we decided we'd let them, you know, hang out over here for a few hours and maybe mill around and go over that hill, and we'd come back this afternoon. So we got back in here, we glassed that hill really good. Didn't see any coyotes. So we decided to walk in. Well, sure enough, we get about halfway in here, and a coyote jumps up on that hill. He was just laying down in the sagebrush. We didn't see him, and ran over the hill, but there was only one. He's coming. Nice slow trot. He ought to come right down. He's going to disappear a little bit. And then he should pop right out on this hill in front of Rick about 150. Nice. Picture perfect, baby. Picture perfect.
We actually came here earlier today, bumped a pair of coyotes walking in over this hill. So we waited and came back and bumped one right where that coyote ran over that hill, or came to us, is where he went. I don't know. I almost think it was the same one, but who knows? No way, TR.
It's hard to believe, but that's right where he went over the hill when he left.
That's right where them two were this morning too when you glassed them. Was you gonna let me shoot that one the whole time?
Yep.
All right.
I didn't even move my gun.
You know, sometimes when we're filming, we try to err on the side of patience. A, to get the best footage for you guys. B, to get the coyotes close so we're making good, clean kills. I let this coyote get a little too close. You know, as I see this coyote sneaking back out, I have about a 30-yard headshot through the sage, and I elect not to shoot it because we didn't have any footage of it. And the coyote wasn't real spooked, and that's part of becoming a better coyote hunter, is being able to read coyotes and understand, is this coyote leaving hard now, or do I have time to be a little more patient and give myself a little more high-quality shot? And after reading this coyote, I decided I was just going to let this coyote trot down a little bit lower, and you know, 100 yards, and I just squared up on his forehead and shoot him. Coyote looked back. Unfortunately for me, right as I had already committed to the trigger breaking in my scope, I see the coyote's head start going down to leave, and the shot goes right, you know, over his back where his head once was. And at that point, thank God for ARs. Well, it wasn't pretty, but coyote down. Just the layout of the hill got us a little bit. We got a little greedy. If we were just contest hunting, I'd have just barked him right there when he popped up out of the sage at 150 yards and shot him. But I was hoping maybe they had a better view, but they didn't. It's all the same in the end, though. Another coyote in the truck.
All right, this is day 3. We're back out here with Farmer Mark and G and TR. We're in one solid giant pasture that's about, I don't know, 14,000 acres. We're on the east side of it, and we're just gonna work our way through it this morning. This is the first stand.
So to finish out the trip, I was the only one that hadn't run a call yet. And the only call we hadn't used yet was the revolt. You know, the First day, which you saw in the last episode, Rick was running the new Super Revolt. TR on the second day, which is the first part of this episode, he was running the Roughneck. So I figured I'd break out the Revolt, we'd get the trifecta, and put it to use. The great thing about the Revolt in country like this is the ability to spin that call. You know, a lot of times when you're making stands, maybe in the Midwest and the East, you have very specific areas that you think the coyotes are going to show up from. So spinning that call is not a huge deal. But when we get out to this big open country and make a stand, we really have 180 degrees of area around us that these coyotes could come from. So being able to spin that call to the left, spin it straight out, and really scatter that sound across that 180 degrees is extremely important. So we're hunting a big chunk of ground today. Looks like it's about 14,000 acres. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to track our route here on Onyx, and then I'm going to go back to the tools menu and I'm going to put a waypoint here where our first stand was, which was right back here. And then you'll be able to kind of see, we'll be able to show our route tracking throughout the day. We'll also be able to see how well we cover that big chunk of area, because we're just going to roll through here making stands, blanking in this area with stands. So I'll use that feature to kind of see how efficiently I can cover that big chunk of ground.
Well, we're needing a little change of luck. We're on to our third stand of the morning. We've had just a little run of bad luck the last couple stands. We bumped a coyote going into the first stand. Had another coyote come in on that stand. I don't know what happened. He winded us or something. But either way, none of those coyotes got within about 450 yards. The last stand, we had a coyote coming great down the draw, but the wind switched on us. It's doing a little bit of that swirl. The coyote got behind this little hill, must have winded us because we never saw it again. But feels like the wind's going to maybe pick up a little bit more, so hopefully it'll steady out. It won't be swirling on us. But just big country here. I'm cranking some cotton ball. I'm going to play it for about 4 minutes, maybe 4.5. And then I'm going to play probably some schoolyard brawl for maybe 4.5 minutes. We're gonna go. We got a lot of ground to try to cover this morning, but only a few more hours to hunt. Let me stop shooting. Shoot him. Well, that was a good one. That coyote came late in the stand. We're about 8 minutes into the stand. But I was about 4 minutes into schoolyard brawl. So that coyote came from a long ways. He was coming to schoolyard brawl. I'd cranked it. We're in big open country. The wind's maybe blowing 8 to 10 miles an hour. I was running it on 32 volume. We're down in this little bowl. I was really wanting the sound to get up and over. I think that the first shot, it kind of was weird, like it stoned him, like the coyote really didn't know what he was doing. He was standing there. But at that point, it's a scramble. Just put bullets in the coyote so it doesn't get away. Got just a big basin. Got a lot of good terrain off to our left, which is kind of on the downwind half of the stand. Rick's kind of up a little bit higher, so he can cover any coyotes coming through that saddle. Anything comes out front, we should be able to see it from 300 or 400 yards out. It's around the fence, 200 yards. stays like that. Nice shot, Rick.
Well, we're on day 3 with Farmer Mark. We just called a single in here. Geoff's running the call. It came to TNT, and it was on the other side of that fence line, coming up through that sand there. And I noticed right off the bat he was a cripple. It looked like his leg was even swinging there, but he probably picked us all out. There's a lot of us sitting here and the sun's beating on us. And then anyway, I made a good shot, and that's about number 9 for me on this trip. I'm kicking Geoff's butt.
So on these hunts, we usually only hunt about a half day on the last day, just so everybody can get back on the road and travel home. So we decided to go, we have time for one more stand, and TR and Mark are kind of arguing a little bit about which stand's gonna be better. TR has a stand in mind, Mark has a stand in mind. Well, ultimately we decided to do TR's stand last. But after this big coyote rolled in and TR shotgunned it, I thought, you know what? We're on a roll. That was, you know, 3 coyotes in a row we killed. I told Rick, hey, on the way out, Mark said his stand was on the way out. And I said, you know what? Let's make this stand and let's see whose stand was really better. So ultimately, we're really trying to get G a coyote. I know she was pretty bummed. You know, back on the last episode, if you remember, you know, we had a coyote come right up and she had a nice chest-on shot. She ended up hitting the coyote a little far off on the shoulder. The coyote ended up getting away. We never recovered it. So I knew she was pretty bummed. So really the goal of the last morning of the hunt was to get a coyote to come in, you know, nice speed that would check up and give her a nice shot.
Right here, coming right here. Straight left of the call on this little hill right here. Okay, you ready to stop him? Right here, ready? Get ready. Ready? Right when he clears this bush right here. There he is, take your time. Ooh. Slow squeeze on him. Nice. Good shot, G. Where's that? Oh yeah, same spot, 2 of them. I'm gonna shoot this back one. I'm gonna shoot this front one real quick here. Okay, slow squeeze, kill him. Yep. Woof, woof. There we go. Nice.
Great job, G. That was awesome.
Thank you.
That first coyote came up and the second 2 came the same path. We just knew it was gonna happen. What really saved us on that was that the first coyote stopped, that back pair, the one stopped and it let that other one catch up. Right. I was worried there for a while. As fast as this second coyote was getting up to the call, I thought, man, that one's gonna be out of range, but it worked out perfect. You got a double. Yep. Great job. Let's go collect them up. Great way to end the trip, man.
Right.
Great way. That's how you do it. Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed this last episode in Colorado. We had a blast out here filming. Hopefully that came across. You know, hunting is fun. That's the reason we do it. And hopefully that comes across on these videos of how fun this is. And maybe you're not a coyote hunter. Maybe you're thinking about getting into it. And hopefully this is enough motivation for you to go out, start lining up some areas to go, get a little bit of gear, and hopefully you can go experience some of this stuff for yourself. And as always, feel free to leave some comments. I jump on there from time to time and we'll answer your questions. You know, I'm not afraid to, you know, nothing out here is a secret to me. If it was up to me, I wish everybody was killing piles of coyotes. So ask some questions and I'll get on there and answer them for you.
Well, I hope you all like this episode. Get ready for the next one, because they're coming out to my home turf in Kansas, and we're going to do a night thermal episode, and we're going to make the biggest pile you've ever seen.
And if these Last Stand episodes leave you hungry for more information, I do put out a podcast. It's called Eastman's Predator Pros. You can find it on Spotify, iTunes, Google Podcasts, SoundCloud. We talk about a lot of stuff, you know, on these videos. We can only go into so much detail sometimes without it becoming boring and lots of talking. But that's really what a podcast is talking. So if you want a lot more detailed info, tips and tactics and fun stories, check out the Eastman's Predator Pros podcast.